All right, y'all, we're here. Episode 1. Finally,
Yeah.
we've been prepping, putting in work. This is actually our second take on the episode. We just had a shit ton of internet issues. Bro. We're here. We've been doing this league report thing. And would y'all say it's been about a year? About a year
Coming
from
on. Yeah, coming on up a year.
It's coming up on a year because it was I think it was July last year when we started.
Yeah.
It might have been July 31st.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
I think
Yeah. So that's full circle. We started in July. We're starting the podcast in July. To all you guys who've been following us on our socials, Snapchat, Instagram, or Twitter, whether you started following us last year, during the middle of the year, or just yesterday, we definitely appreciate you guys. And thank y'all for all the support, all the conversations, even those who stopped following us because they ain't like our opinions and shit. We shout y'all out too because there was a couple of y'all out there.
It's all love. It's
all love, man. And like I said, we've been working super hard on this stuff, doing mock episodes since about December, I think. Yeah. Just working and just trying to perfect this for y'all. And we're not perfect, but we're gonna try to get the best stuff out to you guys. So ride with us. We got a lot of great stuff coming for you guys, especially once the season gets started. Any other words from CJ and Blake?
No, like you said, we've been starting this. We started like a year ago. And we just like wrote on a little piece of paper. We had a OneDrive. I don't know if you all know what that is. We had a OneDrive that we was having problems. OneNote, my bad. We was having problems with it, so we had to move everything like to the Google Docs or whatever. So we were saying, yeah, we want to start this next year around this time, and we did it. So that's good.
It took a lot. It took a lot to get to this point.
Yeah,
behind the scenes, most definitely.
Yeah,
but it's all paying off though.
Yeah. We got the Lord on our side, so we good.
Yeah. And also everything we literally said, I'm not trying to brag on ourselves here, but everything we said we wanted to do, we did it. We said we want to get the LLC filed for this podcast. We ended up officially getting a LLC. What was it? Monday.
Days ago.
Yeah,
Monday we officially got the paperwork for the LLC. We everything we said we wanted to do, we're doing it. And all I can say is, once again, we're really, really grateful for you guys who've been supporting us throughout this entire social media to podcast thing. We definitely appreciate y'all. And thank y'all for you guys' support. So that's a little about us. We're all in college. If you guys didn't see our profiles, me and Carl are at Mizzou, Blake's at SLU. That's pretty much why we're recording remotely. But hopefully we'll be able to be in somewhat of a studio setting sometime throughout the year, and try to just switch up a little bit with the show. But yeah, that's all I got. Anything else y'all want to do to break the ice before we get into some of these topics?
No, I'm just happy to finally start this shit.
Yeah, man.
Let's
go right into it. Let's get into it. Yeah. So one thing we want to do with our audience and our followers or viewers is get you guys involved. We're going to do 3 questions from our Snapchat or Instagram or Twitter followers. Today, we're doing our Snapchat followers. And Carl's going to read them off, and we're just going to get into a little bit of a conversation about some of those topics that you guys sent to us. So take it away, Carl.
All right, peoples, we got a question from Amia on Twitter. He's on Twitter and Snapchat. And his question is, what's your favorite NBA moment in the season ever? So any season, like any recent season from a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it could be 10 years ago. What's your favorite moment from NBA season?
I'm going to take that question and I'm going to extend it to postseason moments. But I'm going to give my 3.
I don't know if you're going to be cool with that.
No, I want it during the regular season. No, but let's all give 3. One of my favorites is Dame's step back game winner over Paul George. Was that game 5?
Game 5.
That was game 5.
Game 5, it was tied. He had nothing to lose. He let it go.
He really had nothing to lose. And I think everybody in the arena and everybody watching knew what was going in. Because if you watch that whole fourth quarter, he was just on some other shit. So that's my favorite. And he waved it by. Yeah.
That's a bad shot.
That's a bad shot. Yeah. Someone said he's still saying that's a bad shot to this day.
Hey, niggas is sleeping. Bad shot.
Yeah. But no, that's probably my favorite. That's probably my favorite of recent memory. Then you have Kobe's 60-point game, the last game of his career. It was a perfect way to go out. And to go along with that, I'd also say, y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, to go along with that, I'd also say, man, I'd probably say Russ's 2020 game. That's probably my third favorite.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my top. And we just did a post on Russ's 2020 as well. So.
Yeah, go check it out on Instagram. I'll check it out on Instagram. My handle is Lee40. Go check that out. Instagram.
Link is in the bio too. It's going to be in the bio once we put this out.
Yep. Blake, so what's yours?
Man, can I go back 90s, 2000s?
Yeah, sure. It's a question, so it's not
okay. 3, I'll have to say Clay's 51, his 37-point quarter, 2015 versus the Kings. 2, but it's so hard to just say 3 of them, bro. Because I had when you first asked the question, I had like 10 of them pop up. 2, yeah.
Off the top of his head, 10.
Shoot, he said 10. And he said 10 off his head, bro.
There's a bunch out there. It's a bunch. It's hard to pick.
It's a lot, bro. It's a lot. 2, I'll have to say Jordan scoring 63 versus Celtics, and then 1, the shot 98 in the finals, greatest moment in NBA history.
The push off.
Yep. No.
Okay.
The ridiculous push off, but it is. No push off. I think mine, low-key, my 1 might be Ray Allen shot, because against the Spurs, bro, I was in like middle school. I was in 6th grade. I was sitting on my living room floor. I was like, they about to lose, bro. LeBron, he ruined. They about to lose another championship. And this dude, and my dad was like, yeah, he gonna lose. He can't be Mike. And then Ray Allen hit that shot, bro. I ran across my whole house, jumping up and down and shit, bro. So yeah, that's definitely my 1. And then I would say 2 probably is Kobe's last game. Yeah. Just the fact that he was his last game and he just scored 61?
61 or 60?
Yeah. But he scored 60 just like that. And it was easy 60. I mean, he took a lot of shots, but still taking nothing away from him. It was easy 60. He was getting everything he wanted. So
and to any guy out there talking about Utah gave him shots and all that, shut up, bro. Because you got to make shots too. So anyway, you
gonna take them. You got to make.
They knew they weren't making the playoffs anyway, but still, they were still defending him. He was busting that, you know what?
Yeah.
And I can say, this third one hard. A lot of people don't. A lot of you, LeBron, you'll know this shot. It's against the Magic in 2009. I think it's 2009. Yeah. He hit the shot. Game 3. No, game 4. He hit a shot. They were down 2 points. He took a 3. Boom. Tied the series up. Won the game for him. So yeah, that's probably my third.
Did they lose that series too?
Yeah, Blake. They lost. Of course, you will point it out.
Just so y'all know, Blake is the biggest LeBron James hater.
You wake up thinking about what ratings can he give Space Jam to, like the worst ratings he can give.
Oh, it was terrible. Y'all know it was a bad movie.
Not that bad.
Ty, you was agreeing with me when it first came out. You was agreeing with me.
I mean, you showed me like one scene, but I haven't seen the whole movie yet. So I kind of but shout out to my guy. Who was that? Who asked that question again?
Amia. His Twitter handle is Amia_23, and his Snapchat is all in caps 2018. So go add him on Snapchat and follow him on Twitter.
Shout out to him. He's very engaged on Snapchat. He always swipes up. Always has something good to say. So salute to you, bro. What's question number 2?
Question number 2 is from Zion, and he said, "Who's your favorite player to never win a ring and why?"
Favorite to never win a ring. I'd probably say favorites to never win a ring. I'd probably say Iverson. I think if we're talking just raw skill and ability, then I think you'd have to probably throw him in the top 5 for him to be that short. He was 5'11",
6 feet, 5'11",
5'11", and for him to score at the rate that he did and not even really do it as a point guard. He kind of played as a shooting guard, especially like in his prime, in his MVP years. And so for him to be able to do that, to me, if we're talking just raw skill and ability, you'd have to throw him in that top 5. If not, he's probably just right outside of it. That's kind of why Isaiah Thomas was super, super special that 1 year, is because when you get a guy who's that short, with that size and that stature, putting up numbers like that, it's next level. And so he never got a ring with it, but still, he led that Cavs team. He led that Sixers team all the way to the finals, and They lost in I think 5. What was it? 5 games, 4 games. Did they get
Yeah, it
swept?
was 5.
Okay.
He lit him up. He lit him up for 60 that first one though.
Yeah.
Was it 60 or 48?
Yeah. Like I thought it was 60 he dropped.
He ain't dropped
No,
60.
it was like it was 50 something, I think.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere.
I know it was in the 50s, but
Yeah.
Either way, he killed him that first
he,
game.
he torched him.
Yeah.
When he stepped over Tyronn Lue for the people.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Blake. What's yours?
I say, I said this before. I say Drexler. No, I can't say that because
He got a ring that second year at Houston.
Yeah.
I keep on
The back door. He went in through the back door. Nobody was
I
looking.
keep on forgetting that.
Say Chuck.
Reggie. I'll say
Okay.
Reggie and Stockton and Malone.
Okay.
I go with
Okay.
him.
You know mine. I used to be a Indiana Pacers fan. No, I'm just playing. So I'm gonna choose Danny Granger. No,
Danny Granger.
no. I'm gonna say Charles Barkley, because a lot of people don't know, like, he has similarities to Zion from the standpoint of being kind of undersized and still dominating centers, because he's kind of, this gonna sound wrong, but he's like bottom half is like kind of bigger than everybody else, so he can back him down super easy.
Yeah.
So that's why, yeah. And then I would say T-Mac, because he was very similar to Kobe. He just never was on a great team to get to that point.
Scoring wise, very similar to Kobe. Like I think.
And Doc Rivers coached him once, so I ain't gonna say nothing.
Yeah. Oh, Doc Rivers, bro. We doing it right now. Man, but yeah, I'd say also, Chuck is another one. People don't realize how skilled Chuck was in his prime. Elite offensive game, face-up game, had a 3-point jumper. He may have been one of the first power forwards to really take that pick and pop game to the 3-point line.
Yeah, stretch forward.
Yeah, for real. I'm trying to think about what else. Extremely, if you watch his highlights when he was in Philly, next level athlete. So for a guy that I think tried to be, for a guy that tried to be out of shape, for the draft too. Like, he wasn't the most in shape dude, but if you watched him, you saw he was jumping. It was
he asked Moses Malone, "What's the problem? Why can't I be better?" Moses Malone said, "Because you fat." That's what he said. Moses Malone.
Yeah.
But if you all really don't, if you some of the young viewers don't really know Charles Barkley, I would say I can describe him for you. Like, remember when Kevin Love used to play on the Timberwolves?
Yeah.
He's kind of a more athletic Kevin Love in a way.
Yeah.
He can shoot on the outside and he can dominate inside and rebound.
Stronger, much stronger.
Yeah.
Chuck is definitely up there. Those are probably our favorites.
Also, top 10 funniest person in the world.
Yeah, Chuck is hilarious. Is he the funniest on this side of the NBA? No, that's not even a question.
Shaq.
Yes, by far.
I think Shaq.
Yes.
Shaq feeds off of Chuck. Like, if there's no Chuck,
That's true. Okay, yeah, that's true.
yeah, because Chuck would be funny without Shaq.
Hey, look, he be like, Shaq be like, "What you say, Chuck?"
Yeah, that's the funniest shit in the world to me. But yeah, those are our favorite. Can y'all think of any other ringless guys? Penny Hardaway.
Yeah.
Reggie. I think one of y'all mentioned Reggie.
I see Reggie or
and then you've got the guys who haven't retired yet with like Melo and Chris Paul. So yeah, long list there. What's his socials again?
He has an IG, and his IG is ZBabyRice0, and his Snapchat is ZBabyRice30. So go add him on Snapchat and follow him on Instagram.
Absolutely. And our last question from y'all before we get into these bigger topics, because we have a lot of stuff to talk about and discuss. What we got, Carl?
It's a question from Jake, and he wants to know, where do you think Ben Simmons will land if he gets traded?
I can tell you where I want him to go. I want him to go to Portland, more so because I want Philly to pick up CJ McCollum and try to make that deal happen, because there's no team who needs like a bucket getter more than Philly. If you look at them right now, right on the brink of being a legit, I'd say they were a legit championship contender, but obviously there were teams in the East that we took a lot more seriously. Like, throughout the season, I don't think I really thought of Philly as the team that I thought was going to get the championship. I thought they were good, but I didn't think they were better than Milwaukee or Brooklyn. But I'd like to see them get a guy like CJ McCollum, good shooter, good shot creator out there. They've never really had a super consistent shot creator from the guard spot. And on top of that, it's just time to try something different in Philadelphia. We've been doing the Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid thing for a couple of years now. Not even a couple. I think it's been, when did Simmons get drafted? 2016, 2015?
16,
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been a
That's
minute,
a long time ago.
very long time ago, and they've never gotten past the second round, have they?
No, because they made it to the no. Wait.
They did, when Kawhi beat them, that wasn't the Eastern Conference Finals.
That was
No, that was the
that was
semi.
conference semifinals. Yeah.
So nope, you're right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
Wow.
just time to try something different. And on top of that, Portland would definitely benefit from getting a guy who can defend, given that they have no good defenders on that team. It depends on what happens. There's some stuff out there that Philly may not even want to pull the trigger on the trade right now, especially with Ben Simmons. We'll kind of see. But I don't know. What are y'all thoughts on it? I think personally he stays. I would like to see him in Portland though.
Yeah, you go ahead,
Honestly, honestly, I wouldn't mind. I'd like to see him. Only reason I want to see him get traded just for the jokes, but I wouldn't mind if he stays. I really can't see teams around the league giving up like an all-star caliber player and a boatload of first round picks just for him. I know Ty, you said you want to see him in Portland, but Portland. I agree that Portland needs more defense, but they also need some offense too. Looking back, I think, and what was that series against Denver? Was that Game 5 when Dame was
Yeah.
Game 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
crazy.
had zero help.
Yeah.
So you can't just put it all on one player to be the offensive load. I really think Portland needs somebody that can score alongside Dame. CJ is good, but they just need somebody on a different level.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then on top of that too, and whenever I say trade Ben to Portland, I always do kind of have that second thought. If we're going to trade to Portland, who's our bucket getter going to be? Who's our second option going to be on offense? Are we betting on Ben Simmons to get a jump shot and turn into like a 20-point game score? Like that's obviously not going to happen.
Sabonis or something. He should be a Sabonis type of player, but
yeah, he really should. He really should.
That won't happen unless you lock him in the gym.
Exactly. Right. So it's tough. If that trade does happen, you're probably looking at your second option on offense and the half court being Norman Powell. And I don't know if that's championship level stuff if your second option offensively is Norman Powell. And Blake's about to laugh, but Norman Powell's a good player, but he's not.
No, but it's just funny the way you saying it.
Yeah,
you rely on your second option to be somebody named Norman on the screen, but yeah, he's a good player though.
Yeah. He's not a second option on a championship team, and I think right now Portland's in a situation where they need to become a championship team. You got Dame kind of passive aggressively demanding a trade. You've got that entire scenario. Everything he's saying right now, if he's entertaining any trade talk or anything, it's all to pressure Portland into making a move to get a guy around him. So, I'm more with the Ben Simmons to Portland thing, just so Philly can get a guy who can, get a bucket for him. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some other. I would like to see Minnesota. There are young teams who I think should consider taking him. Is he that bad of a guy to where, if you're a rebuilding team, is he that bad of a starting piece?
He still
he just has no offensive game.
Yeah,
I just think people on social media has kind of been going overboard. Like he's not talented at all.
Yeah,
he just has a big flaw in his game. He's not the first person to have
a huge flaw.
Yeah,
a huge.
But it's just, I think the problem people have with it is they've seen him from year 1 to year 5 or 6, and he hasn't really gotten any better.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of shows you like you paid all this money and like what you've been doing.
Yeah,
on your free time.
Yeah, some would say he declined too. I can't look at Ben Simmons' game season in and season out and say, oh, he got this much better. Defensively, you can say it, but you definitely can't say it offensively. But, we'll see. There are definitely some young teams that I would like to see take him. I'm interested in Minnesota making moves for him. They don't have anybody who's good defensively, and I think the amount of young talent that they already have is off the chain. Like you can go off the line right now with the amount of young talent Minnesota has. D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns, if we want to still consider him a young player. He's only
like 25, so yeah.
Yeah, even guys off the bench, right? Jalen Noel,
Naz Reid, yeah.
Malik Beasley, so, and obviously you're not going to have all of that if, Ben Simmons is traded over to Minnesota, but still, would you guys consider D'Angelo Russell and maybe some other assets to bring in Ben Simmons?
No.
What are your arguments against that? Like, what are your arguments against a D'Angelo Russell, Ben Simmons Obviously, there are going to be more pieces included, but what are your arguments against that type of swap?
I'm not doing it at all.
I can't. Reason I can't do it because I know I get back a dude that can play defense, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to score. Because you're in a league now where defense obviously helps you win championships. We saw that with the Bucks, but you need some offense too. So it's really a tick for tat trade. I don't know.
Would they need what?
My bad.
No, no, but my response to that would be, would they need him to? Because if you end up making that trade happen, Anthony Edwards is your first priority offensively.
True.
Karl Anthony Towns is one of the most skilled offensive bigs in the league. You have Malik Beasley. Then you have your two younger guys with Reed and Noah coming off the bench. So
that's true because it kind of seems like if you kind of been watching Timberwolves, it kind of just seems like they have too much offense and everybody's cluttered.
Yeah,
that's actually you might have to.
That is actually a good point. I didn't really think of it like.
You just expanded it out.
And to me, it also just balances the team out. I always was the reason. If you guys obviously can't hear our conversations a year ago, but we talked about Anthony Edwards a lot, and my thing was, well, how's he going to score? You know, he's going to be on the court with D'Lo and Beasley. There's a ton of offense, and I thought it was a weird situation for him to be in, as far as like a young guy who wants to score the basketball. Like that's his game. Is he's a great scorer, not a great facilitator. I think he's got a lot of defensive upside, but Anthony Edwards is a scorer at that two guard position. So I thought things were a little bit too clogged up offensively. Obviously, it didn't affect him. Yeah, I think he led our rookies in scoring. But still, I think it balances your team out. And I think it does, in my opinion, make them a sleeper for maybe a playing spot if that type of trade happens. I don't know. And if you're Philly, on top of that, look at it for them. You know, could D'Angelo Russell, you know, be the answer to their problems? Do you think? I mean, it's
a good experiment.
Yeah.
It's a good experiment for Philly, but Minnesota's had great teams over the years. I don't know.
That's very true.
They need to move him from Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't know what their problem is.
Because it's something weird about 76ers though. Like I feel like even if they got D'Angelo Russell, it's still something like I don't know. But only if they would have had money to get Kyle Lowry, I think he would help, but they can't.
I agree. And then that would definitely to free that money up, you know, that would definitely
they would have to trade Ben Simmons and kind of move a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
So it's doable, but I don't think they'll do it. But he would be a perfect piece for them.
But that's a lot of money to make. If you trade Ben Simmons to the Timberwolves, you still playing him at point?
Man, that's a good question.
I would go yes and no.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with Simmons is I just don't think he's never been great at that position. Like he's never been great at the point guard spot. He's been played as a point guard since high school, and we just haven't seen it really pan out in the NBA. And that's gonna sound weird. He's a two-time All-Star now at this point in his career. He's an All-Star player, but is that his best? Is that where he's most optimized at? Personally, I think he's most optimized as a 4. If he can up his offensive game, then yeah. But if you're just gonna sit out there on the perimeter and
dribble,
just sit there.
Dribble, yeah.
Yeah, I've never known him as a good half-court player. So I mean, you know, we'll see.
I used to tell Ty all the time. I said, Giannis will flourish if they move him more to a big man role and use him off the ball. And look what happened. Yeah. I told you they can't guard him down low.
Yeah. And that's the thing with Giannis, and that separates him and Ben Simmons is Giannis is much better at finding his spots. That's just yeah. So I mean, it definitely could come down to changes in how you use the player. That's one major mistake with Doc Rivers. I'm like, you come in and you're pretty much doing the same shit with Ben Simmons that we saw the last couple of seasons. You know, and Brett Brown was the one who brought the idea of making Ben Simmons a power forward to the table. You know, it just never.
And they didn't want it.
Wait, in the bubble, right?
In the bubble, yeah. That's when he brought the idea to the table, and it just never happened. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think he stays. I can't tell you where he goes. Indiana is another interesting name I've heard. Throw the name in the mix. We'll see what happens. But
I think Indiana rejected the trade.
Did they reject the trade? Yeah. I think San Antonio.
That was Kuzma. Never mind.
Okay, and then San Antonio rejected the trade. Maybe just today too.
In the morning.
Yeah, so we'll see with Simmons. Are we all in agreement that he pretty much stays, or?
I'm on it. It's. I think he'll stay because I don't think anybody will really want him from the standpoint of what am I going to get for him. If I can give up a little bit, I get him. but I think they're kind of expecting some picks and another all-star, maybe a role player that's kind of good, six-man, good type of six-man. I don't think they're going to get that because I think he showed if he's not going to be better on offense, like what am I trading for?
Yeah, no.
Am I trading for a role player that can play defense? Because that's sometimes how he plays. A
That's
role
true.
player.
That's true.
That's very true. It is a question: what contending team is going to give up an all-star bucket getter to get Simmons? But on top of that too, and why I mentioned Minnesota, there are some whack teams out there that do have guys who can go out there and score. So we'll see what happens. I'll be very interested to see if a contender moves on Simmons. Only contender I really see making a move on Simmons would be Portland, and if we can even call Portland a contender.
Matter of fact, I think he'd get traded. I just remember something. Remember after that game they lost, this like team was kind of dogging him and the coach kind of dogged him too.
Yeah.
I don't think he's doing.
Doc
Rivers said some slick shit. Remember they were saying some slick shit on him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were.
But what? I mean, were they lying though?
No, but it's just the fact that that's gonna ruin like the chemistry of the team, and I doubt he stays. I just remember that. I just can't see that.
And it also, I mean, he wasn't the best that series, but it also wasn't 100% on him either.
It wasn't on his fault. Like Doc Rivers don't make adjustments. You can see the difference between Tyronn Lue and Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
Tyronn Lue make adjustments. Look where I got him. He almost went to the finals.
I agree.
Doc Rivers stubborn. He's holding on to that 2018 championship. And he just holds on to the same philosophy.
Yeah.
How he got it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Simmons. But shout out to Simmons. I hope he gets better. I think this is the year where he totally takes the game to the next level. There's no way he can't. There's no way.
He put his hand behind his back in the den.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, there's no way he doesn't elevate his game after this season. We'll see what happens.
There's a way.
You think so? You think? We'll see, man. We'll see what happens.
There's always a way.
If he doesn't, I'm completely like just.
Yeah. And it's such a shame because. Yeah, it's such a shame because all people were talking about this season was how great of a defender he was. Like, and he was literally all the talk around Ben Simmons this year. I mean, there are a couple out there who were talking about his offense and how he probably like took a dip on that end, but everybody was raving about what he was defensively. So he's definitely a value to a championship team. Question is, would a championship team be willing to give up that much to get a guy who hasn't proven anything on offense? So we'll see what happens with Simmons, but it's interesting. He's definitely probably the most talked about guy on the market in a summer where Kawhi Leonard and DeMar DeRozan and guys like that are free agents. So yeah. What's the guy's socials, Carl?
Dude, social is my bad. So you can find Jake on his Instagram at Jake331211 on Instagram. So go follow him. Give him a follow. Follow us up.
Yeah, he also another guy who really responds a lot on Snapchat. So shout out to all three of you guys. Got 3 more guys coming for the next episode, so stay tuned. Yeah, that's all you got as far as you guys' questions.
Get those questions in.
Absolutely. Anyway, in other news, tomorrow we've got the NBA draft at 7:00 our time. What are you? I'm trying to think because there's so much to talk about this particular class. As far as the hype goes, where would you guys rank this particular draft class? Because I think we did a tweet over this a couple of days ago. Where do you guys compare it to like the last 5? Let's go down the line. Compared to like the last 5, where would you guys see the hype level with this class? Would you say it's like 1? Probably not 1, but it's like 2, 3. Where would you guys place it at?
I think 1.
You think 1?
I think 1. Yeah, I think 1. Just talking about how deep this draft is. 1. Yeah, I say 1.
But my thing is, I've seen people get hyped up in drafts, and it's just sometimes they don't turn out as much as people thought they would. So I might put it in the middle, like a 3.
Well, on top of that too, I remember seeing something yesterday. Somebody compared this class, and when I say hype, it's tough because you can't compare draft class. Obviously, we haven't seen these guys play a fucking year in the league.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's hard to.
But as far as like the noise you're hearing about it going into the draft, this is definitely one of the more talked about ones. You obviously have to throw in the one with Lonzo and Tatum and those guys. You have to throw in the draft class that included Zion and John Morant. That was another really, really good class.
Right?
Yeah, big time. Yeah,
that's a better one. Right?
The 2018 class. for
Out
sure.
of the last like 5-6 years, that's definitely the best one to me.
Yeah, it's definitely a deep one. As I think Carl, which one of y'all mentioned it was really deep? Blake mentioned it. It was really really deep.
Yeah, I think it's one, in my opinion.
In 2003, I mean, people were comparing this draft and the hype to it to 2003. You know, like, and it's interesting because I don't know how many guys in the class that I really think have franchise level potential, but I think everyone like 1 through 20, there are so many dudes who I think are going to bring a ton of value. There are a ton of dudes who I think are going to be all-star level guys in a matter of a couple of years. But I don't know if there's a large amount of transcendent guys in this class. And that may seem ridiculous to say because you're only going to get a couple of truly transcendent players in each draft. If not a couple, probably just one. So I mean, it's I'm interested in it. Like I said, there's a ton of value from position to position. Those are pretty much my general thoughts on this class. Carl, were you gonna say something about it?
Yeah, I would say like you were saying, it's a lot of you don't know if it's transcendent, but it's a lot of good players that can like flourish in roles or whatever. So I would say I feel like it's going to be a lot of defensive like first and second team players.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people on that team, like in this draft class, can play like good defense and shoot the three. That's very valuable to a championship team.
The amount of 3-and-D players in this class is off the chain. Like let's go down the line. Moses Moody.
Ford is one.
Yeah.
Quinn Grimes has a size too, but he's
Yeah.
on and off with it.
Yeah, but he another really strong defender at the 2 guard spot. With him.
Keep that thing.
I'm thinking of other guys here. You got Josh Primo's another really good 3-and-D dude.
Yeah.
Not much of a 3-and-D guy, but he plays the 2 spot. Keon Johnson, very strong at that. Playing the ball in defensive end, and even the big
Jaden Springer too.
Jaden Springer, yeah, from Tennessee. Yeah, Jared Butler, Davion. I mean, now I'm just naming a bunch of great defensive players, but Davion Mitchell, and you talk about the big man. We talk about all the time in the NBA. If you're going to be a big man, you have got to be able to switch and check smaller players in those pick and roll situations. Teams literally hunt big men every single night for the entire night to try to take advantage of them. We saw it with Rudy Gobert, right? He should have been off the court late in that series against the Clippers. Or Nikola Jokic couldn't check the pick and roll at all, was getting cooked, against Phoenix, I think in that second round. So, now you look at this class and let's name all the great defensive big men. Kai Jones is probably my favorite. Isaiah Jackson from Kentucky.
Texas boy.
Evan Mobley, another really strong defender. I feel like I'm butchering his name, but Usman Garuba, am I saying his name right?
You said it right.
You got it right.
So yeah, I mean, just the amount of defensive that may be the story of this class. We can talk all we want about Cade Cunningham and Evan Mobley and Jalen Suggs and all those guys, but I think the story of this draft is the level of versatility from all these players, especially from like 1 to 20. So I'm excited to see it. There was a major question I wanted to ask y'all. Most overrated in this class, I think we all agree on it. Who is it?
Would we all agree on it?
We just you mentioned him. You were like the last to mention him in the chat.
Oh, Josh Giddey, yeah.
And not to say overrated, but I don't see. I think at this point overrated. That sounds harsh, but I think at this point overrated. I mean,
I don't see it yet. I don't see it yet.
Yeah.
It's just the thing is, like, it's hard to judge these overseas players because we've seen it where it hasn't turned out. I'm gonna say 2003 Darko. I think people do that class. Darko was like the 3rd or 4th pick, whatever. He was terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just depends. Like even because I didn't think Luka was gonna be good, and look what happened to Luka.
Exactly.
So it's really hard to tell. But sometimes a lot of people just been saying like he's a real good, like he has real good basketball IQ and he can pass, but he just lacks like the effort on defense and his shooting is very inconsistent.
And I do think he gives effort defensively. I don't think he's a strong defender. And I also think physically, I think his physicality is going to be, he's not a big guy at all. He's 6'8", but his physicality is in question being a 2 guard, not a 2 guard, but like a small forward. His shooting's a little iffy too. Like, I don't think his form, his pickup is a little weird. I don't know. He's a weird prospect. He's got like a mix of mid-range game. He's overrated. I'd say overrated for now, and definitely I'm up to be wrong because you never know who's going to turn out. I was a guy who didn't think Luka was going to be all that, and obviously he's arguably by many the best player in the league. But he definitely has a weird game. Definitely has some skills that are translatable. But we'll see how he turns out. I think 6'8" at that size, in that position, I think he's going to have a tough time defensively, and maybe a tough time shooting. He's not a super strong shooter at this point. So we'll see with him. But I'm not super sold on Josh Giddey just yet.
I say physically and those mechanics, like the shooting, I think the mechanics will probably come with time. Like once he gets drafted, you work on it a little bit. Physicality, I'm not too worried about it. I'm sure he'll be all right. He'll be all right.
That's true, because the skinniest dudes that look like they really not strong in the NBA be strong as hell.
Yeah, so he'll be fine. Ain't no real contact anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some interesting situations for him. We talk about the trade that just happened that helped land Memphis, that 10th overall pick. I think they go for him, and I think that'll be a very, very interesting backcourt if you want to start him with John Morant. You think about the playmaking between those two guys. I think it limits that team's turnovers a lot more. I think it takes the ball out of Dylan Brooks' hands a lot more. He's not a dude who I think – and he's a great scorer, but he some of his decision making is a little iffy at times.
Carl don't like him.
Carl don't like Dylan Brooks for some reason.
I call him a little bulldog. That's what he looked like, but I ain't gonna say nothing.
But I think that's an interesting situation, and Memphis is able to pick him up. We'll see what happens. For him is also the thing about the point that he's been playing pro ball overseas for a minute. And that's the same thing with Luka. I don't know if he's been playing pro ball as much as Luka has.
I don't think nobody has. He's been playing since he was
Luka. They just leaving that boy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see how he turns out. But he's a guy that I just didn't see a ton of the hype behind. I watched all his highlights and I checked the scouting report. Just to really, I don't really know how to define his game. I don't really know what his role is going to be. If he goes to like a team like Memphis, fine. I think he's going to be a secondary playmaker. Question is he going to start? We'll see how that kind of turns out. But I don't know. We'll see how things work out with him. But Giddey's probably, I'm not even gonna say overrated, but Giddey's probably the guy I'm interested to really see how translatable his game is from where he was at to where he is now. Again, played pro ball. A lot of those guys are able to translate. Some are not. He did play in that really competitive Australian league that I think LaMelo played into.
Yeah.
So you had that entire thing. So we'll see what happens with Giddey. Are there any other guys in this class that you guys just don't really see the hype behind?
I said Suggs earlier, but I take that back now. I was tripping.
Yeah, I wouldn't see the hype in him. I just feel like Davion Mitchell is better. That's just me. I feel like if you draft,
I totally agree. I agree.
When I look at a basketball player and I look at one, I compare it to the other, he just looks more grittier. Like, I don't know. It's something about him. I feel like he's like just more, I don't know, just a little tougher than Suggs. Yeah. I know that sounds.
You head to head what he did to him in the national championship. So
yeah, we'll see. Could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm high on Suggs. I'm really high on Suggs, and I'm high on Mitchell too. I think outside of K, those are definitely, obviously, probably two best point guards in this class.
Who you picking between the two?
Who am I picking between the two?
Yeah, if you had to.
I mean, I'd probably go with Suggs because I think his game. I think if you're a team drafting, let's say Toronto. Well, what's the top 5 right now in the draft? Right, you got number 1, you've got Detroit. Number 2, we've got Cleveland. Not Cleveland. Number 2, we've got Houston. 3, we've got Cleveland.
Toronto, I think is 4.
Yeah.
And then
so let's say he goes at 4 to Toronto, right? At that point, Toronto's at a point where they want to be a young team. I don't know if they really want to retain Kyle Lowry. I don't know what the situation is with him.
30.
Yeah, it's time for them to go young. They're going in that direction. You think about the trade they made to bring in Gary Trent. You think about having OG Anunoby and extending his contract. So if you want to go young, would you? I mean, I'd want to start that point guard spot with a guy like Jalen Suggs. I think he's a better scorer. I think we mentioned Mitchell being a very strong defender. I think Suggs also has a lot of defensive upside. His size is really nice. Good playmaker. And I think he just gives him another guy out there who can get a bucket. I'm a really big fan of a Suggs, Gary Trent backcourt. So it depends on, who's left available. But if I'm in that top 5, I can't see a world where I'm picking Davion Mitchell over Jalen Suggs. I think Suggs' game is just much stronger. I think his upside is bigger. And that's no insult at all to Mitchell. I really think Mitchell's a strong prospect. But I don't think he's the level Suggs is at right now. I mean,
Yeah. I can see what you're saying. You just feel like his game overall is more polished.
I think that more polished game. I think the flaws are
yeah.
the flaws are much smaller too. You know, with
Mitchell plays really like that's why I was saying Mitchell plays really like I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like if you watch their highlights,
he's very
scrappy.
scrappy.
That's the right word. He's
Yeah.
very scrappy.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can kind of.
I like that though. I like that. I want that on my team.
Yeah, I don't know if, and this is like I said, no insult to any of these guys, but I don't know if Mitchell is I don't know if Mitchell is a starting point guard in his rookie year relative to Jalen Suggs. You know, it really just depends on the situation he goes into. But I'm much higher on Suggs than I am on Mitchell at that point guard spot. What are some prospects in this class that you guys just think are overlooked, but you're really, really high on, and you think they're going to be super high impact in their first year? Because like last season, it would have been like a Sadiq Bey or something like that, right? Sadiq Bey is one of the most talked about underrated prospects from that class, and then he comes in this season and he's all rookie first team. So who's that hidden gem in this class for you guys? It doesn't have to be one guy; it can be multiple.
Man, let me tell you, I got two. Well, I used to tell y'all about this one dude, but I'm gonna say the other one. I rewatched Quinn Grimes highlights again. Dude, jumper is like hella smooth.
I mean, he can hoop.
Yeah,
that's. I was watching. This dude was doing in and out dribbles and just shooting over everybody. That's crazy. Not a lot of people do that. At like 6'5", he got some weight on him too, like 6'5", 6'6", 220, 230. Yeah, that's a good size. And my other dude is from LSU. He used to light people up on the daily. Cam Thomas used to shoot from deep. You know, I think hopefully Lakers got 22. Hopefully he's still around with the Lakers. I'll take him happily, but you know.
Yeah. I agree with Carl. Cam Thomas, he's a scorer, pure scorer. You know, you always need that. I say Josh Christopher too. You know, I've been a big fan for a while. Sharif from Auburn. I like his game. I love his game.
He been coming up in the boards.
Legit true point guard.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about I'm talking about Quentin Grimes. He's a guy who definitely impressed a little bit throughout the combine. He was probably the most talked about. No, Bones Highland was probably the most talked about out of the combine. But Quentin Grimes, another guy who really, really impressed. You know, with his performance, his shooting, and all of that. We all know first year I think he was at Kansas, second year in Houston. Another one of those strong. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but another one of those strong 3-and-D guys in the class. I say one of my favorite, most underrated and overlooked. Kai Jones is probably my favorite. Like you guys know, I'm really, really high on big men who can switch and check positions. You know, Kai Jones, his game is a little raw too. But he's definitely a guy we know who can shoot a little bit, good pick and roll guy. You know, good defensive body as well. And like I said, can go out there in those pick and roll situations and not get cooked by a ton of guards. Again, that's tough. You look in college, and maybe the whole switchability of the bigs in this class is a little bit overstated because NBA guards are a different story than a starting point guard like St. John's or some shit like that, you know. So we'll see how it turns out. But you know, Kai Jones, I think he can have a really, really big impact his first season, even if he doesn't start. I think he can be like a Mitchell Robinson. When Mitchell Robinson first got to New York, where he just shows a ton of upside and fans get really, really excited over him and ultimately becomes like a starting big man, or like a Robert Williams. I can see him kind of having, you know, that type of impact, you know. So if he drops low enough, if he goes to a playoff team, I can see him getting very meaningful minutes. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But Kai Jones is probably my favorite, most overlooked prospect in this class. We're gonna say something, Carl?
Yeah, I was saying it just popped up like because we were talking about defense with Kai Jones and Scotty Barnes can play some really good defense.
Scotty Barnes, yeah.
If they compare him to Draymond Green, they can kind of see his game kind of projecting towards that way as he like plays more games in the league. So I can definitely see some Draymond comparisons because he's a pretty decent playmaker too, actually.
Yeah, he's probably just he's a very he's 6'8", right?
Yeah, he's
like
6'8". He's a big dude.
Yeah,
NBA.
And the crazy thing is, I just found out today, we're all actually older than him. That's kind of
really. We should be all older than everybody in this class, pretty much, though. I think this class is a year younger than us.
Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, no, Scotty Barnes probably.
That's so crazy to think about, bro.
Yeah, it is.
It is crazy.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes is probably flat out my favorite prospect in the class. Major defender, and his energy is unmatched. Like his energy level. If you guys really watched him in the games, the energy was
Kind of crazy.
he's crazy. He's crazy as hell. He's crazy as hell. He won, nigga, boy. I don't want him picking me up full court or whatever.
Hey, dude.
Crazy Scotty.
Playing defense. He slapped his hands before.
That nigga slapping the floor. Yeah, that dude's crazy. But Scotty Barnes is probably my favorite. I like his playmaking a lot. I would definitely like if he dropped to maybe, and we'll see if Golden State keeps on to this pick. And I don't know if he will, but I'd like to see him drop to 7 to see if Golden State takes a move on him. I think you get a guy like him off the bench, what he could bring to the table defensively, secondary playmaking, where there really wasn't a ton of that off the bench from many of the young guys last season. Because who was Golden State's second string point guard last year? Yeah, Nico. Who's that?
Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole is not really, to my point, playmaking wasn't super, super strong off the bench. So I think he can come in.
He was getting better towards the season.
Yeah, but to me, his role isn't really the playmaking role. It's more of a he's described as a shot creator. So I think having a guy like Barnes out there, and we'll see how polished he is in his first year for a team that's going to be contending for a title next season. But I really think he'll complement Golden State's game in their offensive system. And I think Draymond Green taking him under his wing is going to be super, super scary. Like you think about how good he is defensively right now. You think about his impact level. Imagine him in the playoffs, on the court with Draymond Green or whatever. That's a scary sight. That's a scary sight. That's scary sight.
That's scary. They some beat. Yeah, that's a scary sight though. But yeah, no, I was about to say, are you all high on Jonathan Kuminga for real?
It's a conversation. I'm
mixed with
size wise, 6'8", 220, yes. Skill wise, he can shoot it, he can defend, he can pass a little bit, create his own shot. It's just like with the G League, it's just like such a small sample of games that you can go off of. So I like him, but I just want to see some more before I make a final decision.
Yeah, a lot of podcasts I listen to it's not that they're way too high on Kuminga's game, and I don't know, there's nothing about him that just makes you like, oh, he's not going to be good in the NBA. There's nothing about him that indicates he's going to be a bust or he's an overrated prospect. Like, no, he's a developing young offensive player. Defensively, I think he's got a lot of upside. He's a great athlete. Blake mentioned his passing is really, really good. He reminds me a lot of Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, when he first came in the league, his offensive game wasn't super, super developed. It just wasn't. And I personally, I think Kuminga's offensive game is slightly more developed at this point than Jaylen Brown's. And I could be completely wrong. But Kuminga.
No, you probably not.
Yeah.
Jalen's coming out of college. People was like, he's athletic, he can play defense, but he can't shoot.
Yeah. Or, so and Kuminga did a lot of, shot creating out of the mid-range. So we'll see how translatable that is in the league. If he goes to a team like Orlando, then hell yeah, I think he's going to have a great first season. Who else? Who's he going to be competing with the ball? I don't think Jonathan Isaac is going to be there to get things started. Markelle Fultz isn't going to be there. You got Cole Anthony, you got RJ Hampton, but I think at that 3 spot, if you want to play him there, I think he's going to have more than enough opportunities to show his stuff off. I'm a fan of him personally. I don't think he's I don't think he's any better than anybody. I don't think he's going as high as top 3 or anything, if anybody's thinking that. But
I'll say top 5. Man.
Yeah, definitely top 5. I think Orlando should pull the trigger on him. Orlando is kind of sucks for them because they're deserving of a number 1 overall pick with how bad they are, so or a number 1 or number 2, but I'm fairly high on Kuminga. I haven't said much about him, but I don't think there's much to complain about him for. He doesn't absolutely jump off the charts. He isn't nearly the most impressive. There are guys projected lower than him that I'm a little bit more hyped with, but I think he's going to have a pretty good rookie season depending on the situation he goes to. What about you, Blake?
I agree. I say somewhere where, say, Orlando or maybe even a Cleveland, somewhere where he'll really have the ball in his hands and he'll have a chance to just go and go. He'll flourish.
Yeah.
Some people need that. So where like the teams are bad and they go to a bad team and it really benefits them in the long run. Like if they don't stay on that team and go to a different team and like kind of help polish your game.
Builds your confidence too.
Absolutely. And now if we go, you gonna say what?
Oh, that's why I kind of think like Cade, even though like people think Detroit, I know their record was bad, but they have like Sadiq Bey, they have some good young players that kind of help them being like, because they have good young players, but they don't have anybody that's going to, you know what I'm saying.
Take it to
so that's going to help Cade. That can help him just go in, just score, just like that on a bad team.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of go back to the Kuminga thing, especially to Cleveland, because that's a very interesting take. Do you think he goes? Do you see a world where he goes as high as top 3? I don't really see it, because I mean, if you're talking
about top 3 is kind of it is unpredictable, because I think right now it's between Cade, Suggs, Jalen Green, Mobley, and Kuminga. Mm-hmm. So they're all, that whole top 5 is really interchangeable, and we really still don't know who's going to be picking in that top 5. Yeah. People are still trying. I know the Rocks are trying to get that number 1 pick. Yeah, and I know the Thunder are trying to get that number 1 pick too. Yeah. But
if they get it,
I can kind of see. I know, because OKC was talking about trading Shea Gilgeous, which was
Sam Presti. If you don't know Sam Presti, might have pictures on all the GMs.
That's stupid. But I can see a world where he goes to Cleveland. I say Cleveland and Orlando are the 2 best fits. If Cleveland, they're looking. I think if they end up getting rid of Sexton, then you got him, Darius Garland, Isaac Okoro. They probably got Jared Allen.
They're probably get rid of Jared Allen.
I think they keep Jared Allen. I think they keep Jared. I think they match. Yeah. Because I don't think Jared Allen. Yeah, I think Cleveland will match Jared Allen, because if you're gonna move away Sexton, you're definitely gonna bring back Jared Allen. You know, I
say they'll probably move Sexton and Love.
Yeah, definitely. And now to me, yeah, to me, any situation where you're trading away Colin Sexton, to me though, I think you're moving up in the draft. Like I think I'm trying to think. I don't know if you're ever going to trade Colin Sexton. I don't think Sexton gets traded this week. I mean, that it'll have to be.
It'll
literally have to be like tomorrow.
Yeah. So it could be on draft, like literally on draft night. But if you're going to get, if Cleveland's going to want to get Kuminga, to me, yeah, they're going to have to move away Sexton, which would most likely mean they're going to be picking 1 or 2, which means I don't think Kuminga's ever going to be picked 1 or 2. So we'll see what happens. But I'm pretty high on Kuminga, where a lot of boards really haven't been high on him. He's definitely been fluctuating between like top 5. Although I've seen him as low as like 8, I think, somewhere. But I'm like I said, I'm not super high on him, but I'm decent on him. I'm not. I don't know. He's not super off the papers for me, but he's not overrated or anything, or he's not a guy that I think is going to be bust or anything like that. You play G League basketball. You're playing against pros. You know, Blake's argument was also that you're playing a very small sample of games. Yeah. So your sample size is much lower, but at the same time, yeah, we're seeing you go at it, you know, against a higher level of hoopers. So we'll see what happens with him. Let's do this. Let's do a mock draft. We've got, what are our top? We already know what our top 5 picks are. Let me just make sure.
Yeah. Let me see them too, because I think I can remember. We got the Pistons, Rockets, Cavs, Toronto, Magic. Right.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's all go down the line and let's name our top picks and why.
Okay.
So number 1 pick, are we all in agreement?
Just assuming that there's no trades or anything.
Assuming zero trades. Trades.
I would say Cade would be 1.
Well, all right. So Cade 1. Cade 1 for you too, Blake?
Yeah.
Arguments for Evan Mobley going number 1. Are there any?
No. You've already got Sadiq Bey and what's his name? So no.
Isaiah Stewart.
Evan Mobley's, bro. I feel like you can get an Evan Mobley like another time. Like his talent is like crazy to me, where I think I can't find another one. But with Cade, it's a 6'8", like 6'8", 6'9", like kind of point guard that can score anywhere on the court and pass. Mm-hmm. So
I do think to Blake's point that Isaiah Stewart and Evan Mobley front court is intriguing, but I've heard a bunch of different crazy arguments for Mobley being at 1. I just want to ask if there's any justification for it.
I got you.
Yeah, but for those people who are arguing Mobley at 1, why would I want to experiment with an Isaiah Stewart and Evan Mobley front court when I can get a Cade Cunningham everything? Like, when I can get a Cade Cunningham and yeah, like, why would I do that? So to me, he's a lock. To some people, he's not a lock. We see all the articles coming out saying he's not a lock at number 1, and Detroit's weighing a bunch of options. I mean, I don't even think, is there a trade out there to where you want to give up this number 1 overall pick?
I say if the Thunder end up giving them for some dumb reason end up trading Shea Gilgeous, I think that's the only way. But
I wouldn't accept the trade though.
Yeah. What I'm saying is would you give up Cade for SGA? Like, basically, is that, I don't know if I'm doing that if I'm Detroit, because and Shea's a hell of a player. Like, he's probably one of my favorites in the league.
Or if OKC gives them Shea and what pick do they have that?
5. It's probably like 8.
Yeah.
7 or 8. It's definitely not 5.
Yeah, if they give them Shea and that 8th pick for that first pick, I think. Would you all okay, so say this. I'm Oklahoma City, and you all of Detroit, you Shea and the number 8 pick for the number 1 pick. Are you accepting that?
Nah. I think you stick with your guns here, and yeah. I say you stick with your guns here. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I say y'all stick with your guns here, and you stay with Cade. To me, there's just no situation where you give this up. I think if you're Detroit, you're doing yourself a disservice. There aren't many better situations than Cade. All these teams are looking to give up a shit ton for Cade for some reason, so I think we talk about transcendent players. He's the only transcendent guy in this class. So we'll see what happens with him. But I think we all agree we'll probably go with Cade at 1. I'm not hearing anything else on Detroit. If I'm Detroit right now, I'm just saying that's not happening. We're going to hold on to him. Number 2, we've got Houston. Gets a little bit more interesting. Who are we taking at number 2?
It's between Jalen Green and Mobley.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
Because I would love to see a Kevin Porter and Jalen Green pairing. I think I more than Mobley.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're gonna pick too. It's been leaked. They pick him.
Yeah, and also too, I'm not that big on experimenting, because let's say even if we go Mobley at 3, we're looking at a bunch of situations where we're trying to get this big man pairing. So now let's say Mobley goes to Houston. We've got Christian Wood and Evan Mobley in the front court. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, what are we doing that for? Christian Wood checks a lot of boxes that Mobley does. He's not as good of a passer as Mobley, but he can still handle up and down the court. He's still a really good shooter. I think still a really versatile defensive player at the big man spot. So I think, as you guys said, that whole Kevin Porter and Jalen Green backcourt looks really, really, really good. I think you stick with your guns with Christian Wood and let him. You pay Christian Wood a good amount of money to be there, So I wouldn't put too much into trying to develop another big guy around him. It'll definitely be weird to run those two on the court together a bunch of times, because their games are, just like I said, pretty similar. Minus Mobley doesn't have his athleticism and all of that, but their games are pretty similar to each other. So we'll see.
It's kind of weird to just think about it, that the team that traded you or whatever he got traded, right?
Yeah, he got traded. No, he got picked up in was it a signing trade?
I think it was.
Uh-huh.
So it's basic. You could say he was kind of a creative type shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he that's crazy. The team that you were just on is going to be the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think we're all green at 3. So green at 2. Number 3. Who are we running with at the number 3 overall spot?
Probably Mobley, I would say.
Are we with the Jared Allen, Evan Mobley front court?
Because let me ask you all this: would Jalen Green go better with Houston, you think, or the Cleveland Cavaliers? Who you think he fits better with? I'm
I
asking
think,
both you all.
I think with current rosters, assuming zero trade, I think he fits much better with Houston. Because if you go down to Cleveland, I think you're getting a bunch of the same shit. You know, you already have
That's true.
Collins. Let's say you do hold on to Colin Sexton, which we don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen. They're most likely gonna move him. So let's say we do move Colin Sexton, right? Yeah, it makes sense to have him alongside with Darius Garland. I think that's a really good, fun perimeter to watch. You got Isaac Okoro out there to kind of bounce things out defensively. Um, I think it just I don't see Houston passing up on the idea of having and we'll see tomorrow obviously, but I don't see Houston passing up on the idea of having both Green and Porter in that backcourt. So yeah, I think the better fit is having Green in Houston. I think if we go Mobley at 3, it'll just if since we talked about not wanting to do an Isaiah Stewart, you know. So I mean, maybe it works. I don't know. Damn, is there a possibility Mobley drops that far down? Like
not out of the top 5.
Yeah.
I just don't see Jalen Suggs going to the Cavs like you said, unless the Cavs trade Sexton, which could happen. So it's from anywhere from 3 to 5. I feel like 3 to 10 or whatever, anything can happen. I feel like those first 2 might be set in stone. You never know. I know the one is me, but that's 2. They might pick Evan Mobley, but I've been seeing stuff on social media where Kevin Porter like, yeah, we about to get Jalen Green. Everybody agreeing with him on the team. Yeah. So it's kind of they know something we don't.
Mm-hmm. So at 3, are we all going with? Are we going with? You know what? At 3, at 3, I'm actually gonna go with. Damn. Shit, am I gonna put? Damn.
I think what's name ain't getting them high enough as she should. Chris Dewar actually to me, but I ain't gonna.
All the way up to 5 though. I doubt that.
No. Yeah, I'm just saying. I feel like he ain't getting talked about enough because if you look at his tape speak for itself.
It's a possibility though. We saw Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams was projected like late, or right like at top 10. Like he was probably projected at 10 or 11.
That's probably too high. But I can see Chris getting 6, surprisingly, maybe 5.
I can see that happening. 3, I think we're all gonna say Mobley. It'll be weird. I don't see anybody just letting Mobley slip, but it'll be a weird situation for Cleveland. To see how that works. I think defensively, it's a very strong front court. You know, you have Jared Allen's rim protection. You have Mobley's ability to switch and also his rim protection. You can work out a lot of high-low stuff. You know, Mobley's a really, really good passer from his position. I think solid shooting mechanics too. I think you make it work. I'm a fan of taking Mobley at number 3 actually. So we all cool with that one?
Yeah, we cool.
Okay. 4, we have Toronto.
Yeah.
Suggs.
I'll
say Suggs, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to roll the dice and pick Mitchell.
You go Mitchell over Suggs?
I'm gonna roll the dice. I just I don't know. I've never liked Gonzaga. That's probably what it is. Yeah. I just cause he's scrappier, dude. I just don't know. It's something about a scrappier dude versus a dude. Even though his game is more polished, I feel like I don't know. I think what's name plays better defense, which is probably true. But Jalen Suggs has more of a polished offensive game, but also Davion Mitchell can get to the cup, get to the rim hella fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I know people go think I'm crazy saying Mitchell Ford.
I mean, no, some people have had him projected that far. I mean, I think if we're going to let Kyle Lowry go, then your next step would be to find a future franchise point guard. And so your question is Davion Mitchell more of a franchise point guard? Does he have franchise point guard upside in comparison to Jalen Suggs? So I guess, I mean, it's a gamble. I personally would love to see Mobley fall to number 4. It probably won't happen, but I'd love to see Mobley fall to number 4 because there's no one Toronto could use in this draft more than getting a nice young big guy. And I think Mobley would be the guy they should most seek after. But it's probably, like Blake just said, it's probably most likely not going to happen.
Probably say for the Raptors ain't really a big guy. He really just block shots and shoot 3.
Yeah. Who, Mobley?
No, Bobby. I said because Bobby Boucher isn't really a big guy. He just block shots and shoot 3s.
Yeah, he plays the 3-point line a lot. So I think it's weird with Toronto. Again, you can prioritize a point guard if you really, really think Kyle Lowry is going to try to go. I think they're going to try to let him go. Whether it's just if they do, they'll probably sign and trade him. But I think their next step after that would probably be to get a point guard. But I wouldn't mind them getting a big guy. But best situation at getting a big guy is Evan Mobley. That's just not going to happen unless we see him just slip that low. in the class. Number 5 overall pick, we've got
Kuminga.
Kuminga. Now, who's picking here? Orlando Kuminga.
Yeah.
Scotty Barnes has been projected at 5 too.
Yeah, I'm going.
I say Kuminga over him.
I'm going Scotty.
Is Scotty's game offensively polished enough to where you take him over Kuminga though? I say no. Yeah, I say no.
It's not, but do the Magic, do they need another scorer? Do they need somebody that can facilitate and play defense at a high level? Which one do they need more?
That's a good question because you think about Cole. Well, that's a good question.
I say score.
Definitely go one-on-one and score.
Because they do have guys like RJ Hampton. It depends. It depends. Does Cole Anthony as a facilitator, does he take the next step? Does RJ Hampton take the next step as a facilitator? He's super raw, at that part of the game.
Because he's been in the league a little bit. I don't know.
He's been in the league. He's coming on his second year. So I mean, I can see both. I can definitely see both arguments for that. I take Kuminga. Man, it's tough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, do you really you want a playmaker that can really play high level defense and get you some steals and convert the defense to offense on a consistent basis, or you want just a raw, talented, like just score that's really not known for defense, but probably could play it because he's big enough to excel.
Yeah.
I mean, also, Warriors can actually get better on offense too, because we've seen defensive players that's in college become good offensive players.
Yeah. I can see a world we go with Scotty Barnes. Cause I think if offense doesn't work for him, you know what you're getting defensively, you know what you're getting as a playmaker. If you take Kuminga's scoring game away from him, how dominant is he going to be? How standoutish is he going to be? I think that's a very good question to ask. So I personally go. I think I see there. I probably go with Scotty. At 5. And there are a lot of drafts that do have Kuminga dropping out of the top 5 too. So, we'll really see what happens with that. Those are pretty much our 5. You guys want to try to continue up to top 10 or?
I probably think so.
Yeah, that's kind of unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say leave it at 5.
Who would be like the Patrick Williams? And I think I mentioned it, but who would be the Patrick Williams of this class? Like, if there's any dude who's projected sub top 10 or whatever, who do you think? Do you think there could be a dude who can go like much higher than what he's projected at right now? Like what we saw with Pat Williams, where he ends up being projected at like 10 or 11 and gets selected at 5, and everybody's like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like, do you think there's a guy like that in this class?
Ty Jones, Isaiah Jackson, like Carl said, Duarte from Oregon, Moses Moody.
Moses Moody for sure.
I was saying, from Arkansas, bro. I meant to mention him.
But Moody's another one who's been all over the place if we're talking about draft placement. Like I've seen Moody below top 10. I've seen Moody within the top 5. So it's not even within the top 5, but within the top 10. So he's interested. I think the dude, and I think Carl's mentioned him all the time, Chris Duarte is probably the most likely to go much higher. There are drafts that have him at 15. There are drafts that have him right at 18. I can see him going within the top 10. To me, he's probably the strongest 3-and-D guy in the class. There's also Zaire Williams, who I think could get better as a 3-point shooter, could polish himself up as a 3-point shooter. You've got Trey Murphy from Virginia too. I could definitely see Chris Duarte or Moses Moody, slipping within that top 10. Moses Moody's name is all over the place though. I'm not really sure where he is.
I've seen him earlier. I saw him as high as like 8, and then I saw him at like 20.
Yeah.
I was so confused.
Definitely some weird stuff. But yeah, I'm excited for the draft. For sure. I as we mentioned, I think it's definitely one of the more hyped draft classes we've had in a minute. They're definitely comparing it to 2003. I don't know if I see that. But it's possibility that we have multiple guys by probably their 5th season, not even their 5th season, but like their 3rd or 4th season, are all-star level players. So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens with it all. Any other general thoughts on the draft or anything like that? Okay.
We could say, you all know like your team's like pick. Like I know mine's 22. My team's the Lakers.
I'm not 100.
Yours.
I'm not 100.
Yeah, the first round.
Yeah, we're definitely a first round. I'm not 100% sure where the Wizards are picking at right now. Let me see. It's fucked up that I've been paying attention to that.
No, not really. It's because I really.
Yeah. We are projected to pick at 15. So there's a chance. Yeah. Yeah, there's a chance we get somebody decent. It's not going to be like I said, a transcendent guy. But I think right now, if you're Washington, you're looking to get as much young talent as possible. I'm obviously a big fan of trading away Brad Beal and then just starting off and rebuilding from there. But yeah, we're at 15 right now. Blake, where's your favorite team picking at? Whatever that team is.
Depends which one he.
Yeah, which one are we talking about? Because he's got like 15 of them.
About Houston, Atlanta, or the Warriors.
No, I was never a Warriors fan, bro. Y'all can't say that. I was never a Warriors fan.
Hey, he crossing his thumbs. He crossing his fingers for that 7th pick for the Warriors, huh?
Yeah, whatever.
I just can't help but laugh when Ty. It's just funny.
What mention?
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing with you, bro. I'm laughing with you.
You act like we've been we literally made the playoffs this season.
I'm just playing.
This dude tripping. If
the play-in didn't happen, y'all would have made it. But I ain't gonna talk about
it. Y'all ended up in the same place.
Play-in is a sympathy team for them suckers teams. You know,
y'all was there.
Carl, what I call it? Celebrating.
I know what Ty about to say. I know what you're gonna say.
You guys, the Lakers were almost also a playing team, and y'all got first rounded too. So
almost
a celebration of mediocrity.
No, we had injuries though. I ain't gonna say nothing, but you know.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm hyped for the draft. Really excited to see how it all turns out. I think without a doubt, as we said, Cade Cunningham's definitely probably going number one. But we'll see how it turns out. If there's any draft that's going to surprise the shit out of us, it's this one. You know, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that'll close everything out. I'm not sure what happened with Blake's camera. But yeah, that'll close us out.
Not a mess this way.
Yeah,
it was coming through.
Yeah. But yeah, appreciate y'all for showing out. Like I said, subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. Follow us on Apple Podcasts and follow us on Spotify. Subscribe or download us on Spotify as well. Shout out to all you guys who have downloaded just the trailer. And keep sending in those questions. Follow us on our socials. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We are on, where else are we on, Carl? Snapchat.
Yeah.
Almost forgot for a second. But you can find us. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, really happy to get the episodes out to you guys. And we will be back on Monday morning with episode number 2. And can't wait to just review the draft with you guys and talk a little bit more about everything that happened since today's episode. So shout out to you guys. Any last words, Carl?
I'm just hoping we either get at 22. If we don't trade the pick, you never know what's going to happen with Kyle Kuzma and that.
Right.
So we don't trade the pick, I'm hoping we either get Quentin Grimes or Cam Thomas a score. I would be probably Quentin Grimes. I would be so happy for that. The dude 6'6", he can score anybody. Yeah. That's it, you know.
For sure. Shout out to y'all. Keep supporting, and we'll be back with episode number 2 on Monday morning. See y'all then, bro.
Monday. Get ready. All right. Do we just